I am looking after budget, vigilance and NAM schemes. I am working in this ministry since November 2012. So I am the coordinator of this session. To take the proceedings forward, I am delighted and honored to welcome our speakers and experts to the dais. Sri Vishal Chauhanji, Joint Secretary, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. Srimati Kavita Gotru, Chief Controller Accounts, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare and Ministry of Ayush. Dr. Mohan Singh, Director, Jammu and Kashmir. Dr. Bandana Dishodia from Haryana. Dr. R. Sridharan, Director, ISMH, Puducherry. I am, please all the officers, sir and madam, please come to the dais. Sir, this session, enhancing the efficiency in budget absorption under nationalized mission, it is the thoughtful session and it has been visualized by our Joint Secretary Madam, Srimati Kavita Gaur. I would like to make a special mention about her vision and guidance for her relentless effort right from the ground level to implementation, overall strategy and review mechanisms. This session is a fruitful of Madam's thought and recognition of the importance of more effective budget planning and utilization in order to extending all aspects of NAM. Sir, please, Sir Mohan sir, please come to the stage. Sir, as we all know, budget and finance is the most crucial and important part to run our any program, including National Ayush Mission. Our National Ayush Mission scheme, which is the only centrally sponsored schemes of this ministry, which was launched way back in 2014 for an initial period of 3 years with a financial implications of 5,261 crores. And it was initially started for a period of 3 years. From at the beginning, in the year of 2024, our annual budget for this scheme was only 75 crores. But it is, I am unfortunate to say that though the initial outlay for the 3 years, it was the 5,261 crores, but we could not utilize all these funds because of so many bottlenecks. Subsequently, the scheme has been continued with a lot of changes in the scheme guidelines and a better scope of work with addition of activities like HWC, PHP, etc. We have achieved some more remarkable milestones with the strong support of states and UTs and much more to go. The new scope aided in better fiscal support to states and UTs, and as a result, this year the budgetary allocation for this scheme has reached to 1,200 crores, which is 1.5 times more than the budget estimate of that scheme of last year, which was 800 crores. Sir, ma'am, all we know that in the year 2021, Government of India has made some few changes in the mechanism to decide and release financial grants to states and UTs. With the changed scenario, in the initial year, getting or disbursing funds has become challenging because of new conditionalities like opening of SNA balance, mapping of schemes, transferring of unspent balances to SNA account, and the releases was conditional for 4 times with 25% in each time only. Some additional conditions like zero treasury balance, timely release of funds to the from treasury to avoid any interest, mandatory utilization of 75%, then mandatory submission of utilization certificate of 75%, those are all included. Though the ministry was able to disburse the funds to some states last year, but we could not give the funds to all the states because those states and UTs could not fulfill these conditions. These are conditions which are, some of them are fixed conditions, one-time conditions, which are met by all the state UTs. Now we have to focus in fulfilling the other conditions which are variable in time and which are regular conditions. We have to fulfill all these conditions in every year to release or to get the funds from this ministry. It's my pleasure to share with you that during the Parliament Standing Committee meeting after the COVID pandemic, the role of Ayush interventions in mitigating and combating COVID-19 were highly appreciated and applauded by the Parliamentary Standing Committee members who belong to every part of the country. The appreciation of to the Ministry of Ayush received from the members was highly motivating for us, but it is true that this was not at all possible for us without the cumulative, consistent and timely efforts of all states and UTs. With these things, I would like to take forward this session. This session has been structured with the 3 presentations from states and UTs, followed by 2 further presentations by our CCA madam and our Joint Secretary, Sri Vishal sir. Now at first, I would like to call upon Dr. Mohan Singh, Director Ayush and JNK, to present his views. Sir. Oh, I'm sorry to say, our JS sir, Vishal sir, had some important meeting, so I'm calling him and first to make his presentation. Sir, please, sir.
First of all, let me congratulate the Ayush Ministry for organizing this conclave. National Ayush Mission, where I am told that all the issues related to National Ayush Missions are discussed threadbare. So that's a very commendable initiative taken by the Ayush Ministry. And Ayush and Health Ministry, they always work together hand in hand so that, there is always a synergy between the 2 ministries. And at the ground level also, we have many co-location facilities where where Ayush doctors and Ayush health service providers are also working in the health and wellness sub-centers and primary health centers and the CSCs. So my eminent co-panelists are here, and I'll be briefly touching about, the absorption of the fund is a very important, it's a very important duty and for implementation of the scheme. We all are aware that, funds, that is in fact our main responsibility as officers of the central government and as the state government, that we ensure that whatever budget allocation is provided to us, we are able to spend that funds, properly utilize the fund in the interest of the public, and citizens get the benefit of it. So, I will be telling you briefly about the, what are some good practices are there, and with the permission of my eminent co-panelists who are sitting on the dais, and with the permission of all the participants of this meeting, I'll be talking very briefly about, how the National Health Mission, what has been the experiences of National Health Mission, and what are the good points which can be learned by the National Ayush Mission. The only advantage with the National Health Mission is it started way back in 2006. So it has a better established system, and National Ayush Mission is a relatively new mission, though I think it is also started long time back. But still there are certain, further there is always a scope for improvement that we can spend more money. So about the National Health Mission, as I said, it started in 2005. So it provides technical and financial support to the states. So we are very clear that we provide the technical and financial support to the state, and all the other matters are left to the states in terms of the HR or how much salary is to be provided to the people. That is left to the state. So that saves us from a lot of unnecessary, there are so many court cases, etc. are there. So that is there. Also to bring, sharpest focus, the objective of the National Health Mission is to bring sharpest focus on, states and rural areas where where more funds are required. So I'm not sure whether the National Ayush Mission, this provision is there, but maybe later on it can be clarified. And what we have done is we have done an architectural correction where, integration of lot of vertical programs have been done and a health system approach is adopted. So what do you mean by health system approach is that, if there is a lab, earlier there used to be 10 lab technicians, one lab technician for the TB program, one lab technician for the leprosy program, one lab technician for some other program. So we have 10 lab technicians and each and every one is underutilized. So the objective is that if a health system approach, a lab technician is a lab technician, he should do some 40, 50, 60 tests in a day. So he may be doing 10 TB tests, 10 viral hepatitis tests, 10 leprosy tests, 10 malaria tests. So that's a health system approach, that rather than having compartmentalization of this thing. Now I will talk about the financial utilization. You will see that whatever fund is allocated to the states, allocated to the National Health Mission, we have been able to utilize almost 100% and in fact more than 100%. So this is what, when I'm making, when I'll be giving some suggestions, I'm told that in the National Ayush Mission, we are not able to absorb 100% of the funds. So they are bottlenecks. So we have to remove those bottlenecks and ensure that on the pattern of National Health Mission, you should also be able to absorb whatever funds are allocated to the mission. I'm told about 1,200 crore funds are provided in the National Ayush Mission, and expenditure maybe, I don't know, it is 50-60% or whatever it is there. So I think I will share with you what we have done, and if those corrections can be done in the National Ayush Mission at the national level and also at the state level, that will be very, very helpful. One is that, we give approval through the program implementation process. This process is the same. We have a state-wise discussion in the National Ayush Mission. State after state, we have this meeting and certain activities or the programs are approved. Now, we always give approval about 125 to 140%. So we give more approval than the fund available. If the fund available to the state is 40 crore, we give approval for the 50 crore because it may so possible that some of the activities or some of the programs could not take place. So we always give more approval than what is the resource envelope. And then we say that fund will be utilized only to the resource available. So states should use only 40% or can be provided only 40 crore rupees. But approval is up to 50 crore. It means that you can do any activity. So I hope I'm clear on this point, that we give more approval subject to the fund ceiling. So suppose I give fund for the health and wellness center operationalization 10 crore, 10 crore for TB, 10 crore for leprosy, 10 crore for some other program. It may possible that TB program may not take off, but my approval in other programs will cover that expenditure. So that is a suggestion. Also, release of fund is not linked to the activity or to the code wise. So I have given 50 crore approval, but fund release of first installment of 25% of the 40 crore, suppose we give you 10 crore. That 10 crore is not to be divided like this is leprosy program, this is malaria program, this is that money is for every program. Which program is able to spend the money, they can use that money. And this money is available in the state nodal account. So that money is for everybody. So it means that, for the example, in the Ayush Mission, suppose we have given activity approval for the diagnostics, for the drugs, for the salary, for some other component. But the money 10 crore is given. Suppose my drug procurement is delayed, but my construction work bill is ready. We'll make payment. States should make payment. They should not wait that, out of this 10 crore, 2 crore is for construction, 2 crore is for salary, 2 crore is for drugs, 2 crore is for diagnostic. No. Whichever bill is coming, please make payment and claim the next installment. So this we have to do. Please do not make a, compartmentalization of the fund. Use the, and whichever bill is ready, and don't keep money for the salary. We have this tendency of, don't know when the next installment will come. And then we keep money for the 6 month salary of our manpower. So that money will always remain unspent in the single nodal account. And what will happen is that neither the money will be spent nor you will able to claim the next installment. So if a construction bill has come, if a salary bill has come, if a drugs bill has come, if any other incentive bill has come, please make payment. Only salary you can keep 1 month, that's all. Make payment so that your SNA brings down to less than 25% and you can claim the next installment.
Can we intervene in between?
Yes, please.
My point is this, you are saying we have to make payment, but there is a recurring and non-recurring concept also. Can we make the payment of the recurring out of the non-recurring?
No, fund is, recurring you can do to the extent of fund, money is money. No, but I will clarify. Fund is fund. It is not written that if I transfer you 10 crore, I am saying don't make any artificial compartmentalization. If I say that 40 crore is the total approval, and out of that 20 crore is recurring, 20 crore is non-recurring, then first installment of 10 crore is provided. That entire 10 crore you can use on recurring because you have approval for 20 crore. That entire 10 crore can be used for non-recurring because approval is also 20 crore. So don't make this compartmentalization that 50% is recurring, 50% is non-recurring. So I will make only 5 crore for recurring, 5 crore is for non-recurring. Because construction activity may take time, it will be non-recurring expenditure. And so 5 crore you will pay because of the salary and drugs. Your construction getting delayed, so your 5 crore will remain unspent. So your fund in the SNA balance will be only 50%. You will never claim the next installment. So whether recurring, non-recurring, construction, whatever bill is coming, please make payment, claim the next installment. But there is a ceiling limit. Approval for recurring is 20 crore, non-recurring 20 crore, so you cannot cross more than that. So I think it is clear. So states free to utilize available funds against the approved activity. So whatever is approved, you can use to the full extent. Don't go beyond approval. And CH flexible pool, then urban health mission flexible pool, then communicable disease flexible pool, then non-communicable disease flexible pool. So again the same problem. This is money for malaria, this is money for hypertension, this is money for health system strengthening, this is money for urban. Now money is same, there is no distinction. Approval is given, whichever bill is coming, please make payment. So now we have only one pool. And then infrastructure pool and the NPMU pool is different. So that money is different. Then also there were a lot of FMR codes were there. In 22-23 we had 1400 FMR codes. Now we have only reduced to 198 FMR code. What do you mean by FMR code is that, we had a lot of, norms like training, 500 rupees per person per day, all these sorts of things. So everything, norms for everything. Now we have removed those distinctions and we have reduced the FMR code so that we give money for training and as per the norms to be decided by the state. We are not deciding from here that, 300 rupees for food, 500 rupees for, per day, trainers fees, trainings fees. These kind of small things we have done away with. It is up to the state what kind of norms. Some states transportation cost may be more, some states hiring cost, room hiring cost will be more. So we give entire money for the training. After that, we don't monitor that, which component, how much money is going. Then this is the example like we have, I will leave this presentation, you can see that. So earlier, like for one activity like adolescent health, Rashtriya Kishore Swasth Karikram, so 17 codes were there, now it has been reduced to only seven codes. So approval process is also simplified, reporting process is also simplified. So that we have done. Then next is, we are using the PFMS, release of fund through PFMS and single nodal account. The beauty of the single nodal account is that money is at one place. So you may think that single nodal account is creating problem, but it is not creating problem, it is solving a problem. You have 5 districts or you have 15 districts. Now money is in one account. One district who is moving fast can use that money. Any district who is, any activity program is moving fast can use that money. Earlier is, if suppose I transfer 10 crore and that 10 crore got transferred to further 1 crore to every district, then every district can spend only up to 1 crore, though his approval may be of 5 crore. So now the state district which is moving fast is spending 3 crore rupees can take from the centralized 10 crore. So you tell your every district also that you can use the money up to your approval limit. Don't restrict them to, use the money ki no, your is only 10%, so use only 10% of the available fund. No, use entire money for your approval. So this also you can do, you should do. Then also we have a financial management reporting format. As per FMR is the primary financial report which provides component-wise utilization of funds under the budget allocation. This I have told. A statement of fund position is sought and utilization certificate is sought. So statement of fund position is also sought on a monthly basis. I will tell you how it is done because then also the audit. What we have done is audit is a major problem. So what we have done is we have made model request for RFP from the head office only, from the national level only. We have given a model tender document how to hire an audit firm. So normally in states this capacity is not there. So if a model agreement is proposal is floated, then states can simply change it and issue the tender. Otherwise there is a problem that state struggle to hire a chartered accountant. And annual statutory audit is done who are impaneled with CAG and eligible for conducting audit of major PSUs. So we give a model RFP document and they do the performance audit. Now we have an institutional mechanism for program and financial management and support. This is very important. There is a central level program management unit at the national level and also at the state level. This is the real game changer because we have a team of 7-8 people who are MBA finance. Though we ask qualification of chartered accountants, we don't get, but at least we get MBA finance and other people who have expertise in finance. We have a solid team of 7-8 people in the here, and in states also there are team of the experts. We have about 1% of the fund for the PMU, that is the project management unit. So you can also, maybe 0.5% should be there in the National Ayush Mission. If it is at least by audit can be 1% also. So that with that money you should hire a financial experts who are MBA finance, etc. And their team and our team is in constantly touch. If they face any problem, we help them because every day some instruction is coming from Department of Expenditure, new instructions are coming. So we have to be constantly in touch. So we have a central level PMU, state level PMU, who are people with CA, MBA finance, PG diploma in management, qualification and other fields. And they work closely with the state government counterparts. And that is why they tell them that what is the further requirement is there. Next. So these PMUs, they monitor, whether state center fund is given, whether still it is in the treasury or it has gone to the SNA account, whether state share was to come, it has come or it has not come in the SNA account. So they monitor. Then every year you have to refund the interest accrued in your SNA account. So that interest accrued, whether it has to be returned or not. So all these things, this team monitor and they work very closely. So these are the major things why we are able to make this expenditure of more than 100%, because we have a finance team working in the central government level and also in the state government level, and they work with the account officers here and there. So, and then timely submission of a statutory audit report. Most of the time, whether the central fund is not gone or the state fund is not gone or interest is not reflected or annual audit report is not there, if any of the condition is not fulfilled, you cannot transfer second installment to the state. So, so that team has to work very closely and very from time to time. Besides that, we have review meeting at least once in a month or twice in a month. If you remember, I and Kavita ji were monitoring the operationalization of the health and wellness centers almost on a weekly basis or a 15 days basis. We were working together, and after end of this whole exercise, about 6,000 health and wellness centers we could operationalize. So my request is that on a continuous basis we have to have these meetings, and we have to remind the state that your center share is not transferred, your state share is not transferred, your interest is not given us back, your audit report is not there, whatever these requirements are there. So we have made these things 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These things are required to send the next installment. 1, 3 you have complied, others you have not complied. So that has to be there. So finally, I will just say that we have to have flexibility in terms of approval is something different, financial transfer is something different. Reduce fragmentation of pools and codes, developed robust accounting, audit and monitoring mechanism, identifying of key financial KPIs. That's I said, whether state fund is transferred or central fund is transferred or interest is transferred, expenditure, what is reported, not reported. Regular monitoring by senior levels and building institutional capacity, as I said, program management unit. Regular hand-holding and training of the stakeholders, particularly state teams, and close coordination with the Department of Expenditure. So these are few suggestions. If there are some questions are there, I am there, Kavita ji is there, our controller of accounts, and Advait is our deputy secretary is also here. We will be very free to, whatever, if questions are there, we will be very happy to reply. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your views with valuable suggestions. This will definitely help us towards our better implementation of our scheme. We have noted your so many suggestions like model tender documents, strengthening of MPUs with qualified staffs, interactions of PMUs regularly, regular review meetings, regular monitoring and follow-up of KPIs, etc. This will definitely help us to perform better. Sir, now I would like to call our next speaker from Jammu and Kashmir, Mr. Mohan Singh, Director Ayush. Now he will present his views. Sir, please, would you like to come here?
Thank you. My co-panelist on the dais, senior officers of Ministry of Ayush of the dais, Joint Secretary Madam Kavita ji, Joint Secretary Shri Vishal Sharma ji, homeopathy advisor, and senior officers from the states and UTs, administrative secretaries of many states, mission directors, directors of many states, PMU teams of states and UTs, and consultants, and my dear friends. Before my presentation, Shri Vishal Chauhan, Joint Secretary, Health and Family Welfare, has explained a lot with regard to some financial issues. As he very rightly said that NHM is an old mission and Ayush Mission is a new mission. We are following the footsteps of Ayush Mission, National Health Mission. And he has clarified many bottlenecks, many challenging areas, many intricacies. And first of all, I am thankful to Ministry of Ayush officers that they organize such a summit, because prior to it, I was Mission Director, National Health Mission, and Raghuji and Sureshji sitting here, I was always emphasizing them. There should be summit at national level as well as at state levels where we can have sharing of platforms, we can showcase our best practices and we can learn from the best practices of others. So I am lucky and I am feeling pride that I have got an opportunity that J&K being one of the UTs, rather we are the amongst all the states and UTs, we have absorbed maximum funding and we got the third tranche in the previous year. So I am being asked to explain what steps we have taken with regard to this, announcing the strategies adopted by Directorate of Ayush UT of J&K for enhancing the efficiency in budget absorption under National Ayush Mission. First of all, as Vishal sir explained, that there are certain compliance to the instruction of Department of Expenditure, Ministry of Finance, and I think the OM came in on 23rd of March 2021. Here I would like to share with you people that when it was and the deadline was that from 1st of July, all the states UTs have to take all the executing agencies as well as the implementing agencies on board on PFMS, and zero balances accounts were to be opened. And J&K was the one which took a lead, and my finance manager, accounts manager, Sureshji is witness to it, that they had been master trainers to many states and UTs, that we, first of all our DDOs, District Ayush officers, ours is a robust system of procurement with regard to Ayush drugs, machinery equipments, instruments, consumables, furniture, fixture, whatsoever it is. Ours is a medical supply corporation in the UT of J&K. Then there is our agency, J&K Housing Board, and our other executing agency is Public Works Department. So we, before the 1st of July, the deadline, we took all the executing agencies and implementing agencies on board with regard to PFMS. Then, with regard to the matching UT share, in the last quarter of the 21-22, there is a meeting with regard to revised budget estimates as well as the budget estimates, I mean revised budget estimates of 21-22 and the budget estimates of 22-23. At that point of time, we planned in such a way that we will be able to absorb this much amount. We projected our UT share in the budget estimates of 22-23 in the previous year. We projected with the government of J&K, I mean in 21-22 last quarter. Then with regard to expeditious and judicious utilization of funds, as I already told that in our UT there is a medical supplies corporation which deals with the drugs, including the Ayush drug, with regard to the machinery equipment, with regard to the instrument, with regard to consumables, with regard to furniture fixture. And then we empanel certain vendors, agencies, for example, for branding. In the UT of J&K, we empaneled an agency for hiring of, because as there is a provision under National Ayush Mission that we can hire manpower both through the contractual mode as well as through the outsourcing mode. Certain areas we empanel the agency for hiring of the manpower. Then certain programs, functions are to be organized. We we empaneled the event management agency, I mean vendor. Then from 14-15 up to 21-22 whatsoever, we took a lead in this, that the refund of interest accrued of all previous year through Bharat Kosh portal, and 85 lakhs of the interest accrued was refunded to Ministry of Ayush in the consolidated fund of Government of India through Bharat Kosh portal. Then followed by this, we were having pre-planned consultative meetings. We had consultating meetings with all the implementing agencies, executing agencies, so that we can have before the projection of SAP to 22-23, so that at the micro level we can have better planning, prioritization of the areas, and then realistic projection is to be made, so that district program management units are involved, so that we are able to prepare a better project, a better annual action plan. Then pre-appraisal review meetings before the SAP was submitted to the Ministry of Ayush, Government of India. We are having our executive committee. We have meeting with all the members of the executive committee, in which the budget of this year 22-23 was discussed, along with the action taken reports with regard to physical and financial achievements of 21-22. Then realistic requirements. Then, Madam, as Kotocha sir were emphasizing on program management unit, I will feel pride on this, that as Secretary sir were emphasizing on program management unit, I am having a wonderful program management unit, which is a state program management unit. We are having district program management units also, but in our state program management units, we are having technical experts with regard to finance, with regard to IT, with regard to public health, with regard to planning. We are having a wonderful team. So we are having realistic requirements with regard from the executing agencies and the implementing agencies. Then formulation of ongoing core essential activities, continuation of ongoing core essential activities, as last year the SAP was little late because we were having lot of meetings with regard to Ministry of Ayush, also because of COVID pandemic also there was lot of problems. So we issued a communication to all the implementing agencies, executing agencies, that our core activities should not be stopped, those should be continued, so that we are able to expand our funds available with us. Then with regard to uninterrupted supply chain of essential Ayush drugs, as I already told that the Medical Supplies Corporation is one which is providing us the Ayush drugs, machinery, equipment, instruments. We had a meeting with them, and in the year 21st-22nd, in the last quarter, wherein on the basis of the previous year's tentative resource envelope, we convey to them the commitment of funds, so that they can initiate the process with regard to the procurement. They can have to go for tender, they have to empanel the vendors, so that by the time we reach to that level, those processes are complete by our this agency. Then, as we are having full-fledged Directorate of Ayush along with the dedicated program management unit, where I already told that we are having people from the management side, public health side, IT side, finance, accounts, planning, and we are having, these people are having continuous hand-holding and supportive supervision to the district program management units wheresoever there are gaps. And then there is a monitoring and evaluation by these people, both physical and financial monitoring. We have devised calendars with regard, monthly calendars with regard to districts. So one or two of our people from the state program management unit, when there is meeting at the district level, they visit there, they participate there, they sit there, they see to it what are the gaps, what are their strengths, what are their weaknesses, how to correct the gaps. So these people are going physically monitoring, and at the same time they are assisting, guiding them. The DPMU teams were instructed, and at the same time there are we are having a big challenge with the executing agencies, I mean construction agencies. So for example, there are certain bottlenecks, there are certain gaps, there are certain problems, there are certain challenges. Then our program management unit people go there, they try to solve. If that is not solved by the district administration or by our district officer, then those issues are referred to us. Then those issues which are referred to us, we convene the meeting at the level of the minister level. I mean, we are having advisor presently, or at the administrative secretary level and the administrative secretary of that line department, so that we are able to remove those bottlenecks. And I will give you one of the examples, because 10 years back, a hospital at Harban, Srinagar was started with the funding of the Ministry of Ayush, Government of India. I think more than 5 crores have been spent. There was an investigating agency issue also. There was a issue of the court also, because it was the land nearer to the green area, because there was a PIL also. They said that you have not got all the no objection certificate, so you cannot proceed further. So our program management unit continuously followed it up. Then we went to the law secretary. Law secretary in turn convened a meeting of the chief secretary and our Housing and Urban Development Secretary and our secretary. So in turn it was decided that both the secretaries, that with regard to the court, we will file the joint objection. Ultimately, court disposed of that issue. Now we are going to the administrative council for the sanction of this project, so that we can spend this money expeditiously. And this is all because of our program management unit people, our officers, those who lies on with various departments, with the secretariat, with ours, with districts. This way we are proceeding. And for example, there are certain district program management units which are poor performance. There is online and offline workshops are being done for those people, so that their capacity can be enhanced, their capacity can be built. Then approval for execution of the approved activities. After this, immediately after the approval of the SAP, we got a SAP approval of 72 crores. We convened an executive committee meeting for the execution of the SAP, and on one hand, we went for the execution approval for execution. On the other hand, we were knowing that it will take time from the Ministry of Ayush to our administrative department, then finance department. It will take certainly some time, 1-2 months. Then on the other hand, we issued instructions to our executing agencies, our implementing agencies, because with regard to the ongoing activities, there were already instructions in the month of April. With regard to the other areas which are newly incorporated, new activities, we issued instructions to the executing agencies, implementing agencies, go ahead with these activities, and as and when we are shortly getting funds will be released to you. Without wasting time, we issued instructions to them. Then, with regard to the construction works, we have to go for an accord of administrative approval. We went with the accord of administrative approval up to 5 crores. The power lies with the HOD with me, and above that up to 20 crore, we have to approach to our Honorable Advisor and Honorable Bardi Secretary. Then steps taken for release of first tranche. Before coming to the Ministry of Ayush, Government of India for release of first tranche, we went to our finance department through administrative department that the corresponding UT share should be released to fulfill the conditionalities. By the time we request Ministry of Ayush, Government of India, because we have already filled all the conditionalities, by the time the release reaches there, our reached our UT share, corresponding UT share was released. Then we got on 16th of October, we got 16,031 lakhs, the first tranche from Ministry of Ayush, Government of India. Then on the same day, we approached the administrative department that the matter be taken up with the finance department for release of the funds along with the advance travel of the same. And accordingly, within the stipulated time, we got the 30-35 days, we got the trenchy. And by the time when we got the trenchy, as during the month of April, we had already communicated to all the executing agencies, implementing agencies, and after the approval of the SAB, we had already also conveyed that the new works, so we were having committed liabilities. We have already created committed liabilities with regard to both recurring component as well as non-recurring component. And accordingly, expenditure amounting to rupees 14 crore out of 16 crore, that is 79% of the trenchy was made. And the provisional UC out of 12 crore 70 lakhs UC was also sent to the Ministry of Ayush, Government of India. And we were eligible for the second trenchy within a period of 2 months. And we, the day we wrote to the Ministry of Ayush, Government of India for release of second trenchy, simultaneously we approached the administrative department to the finance department that our corresponding share should be released. Then again on 15th of November, we got second trenchy, that is 16 crore 31 lakh. And again, immediately we wrote to the administrative department and finance department for release of the funds along with the advance travel. And within the stipulated time, we got this second trenchy. Yeah. Okay. He says, be quick. I'm finishing. Then utilization of the second trenchy, by the time 2 months, the funds, the second trenchy reached, the funds were already utilized. So we spent 75.3% of the funds, and we were eligible for the third trenchy, which we got. And then we again, first quarter, second quarter interest accrued was 15 lakhs. We refunded it. Then ultimately, third quarter, fourth quarter, interest was also accrued, was also refunded in through Bharat Kosh. And then there are certain glimpses of, forward it. Honorable Lieutenant Governor inaugurating Government Ayurvedic Medical College. Then Honorable Shri Sarvanand Sonowal ji, along with our Honorable LG inaugurating Unani Medical College. Then Honorable Sarvanand Sonowal ji in a Ayush Gram, Gandarbal, in a herbal garden at Gandarbal. Then Honorable Munj Baraji, Ayush Aapke Dwar for capacity building program of farmers. Then we are having 50 bedded integrated Ayush hospitals. Then we are having certain health and wellness centers. Out of 571 health and wellness center, 442 have been made operational. And in this year, 129, we are also again making operational. As the time is short, I will not take much time. But as the Ministry of Ayush higher officers are sitting here, I will request one thing. The 2-3 issues came there. I will request, Madam, with regard to program management unit, there should be monitoring evaluation officer also, both at the state level and at the district level also. That will strengthen the program management units. And with regard to yoga instructors, part-time yoga instructor, the salary of the male and female should be enhanced, and female should be equalized, and the yoga session should be increased. That is my request. I will not take much time. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Anybody having any query, please?
Thank you, sir, for sharing your experience with us.
Anybody having any query, please?
I am sure all states will be benefited by the experience shared by our sir. We extend our sincere gratitude for the enlightening the presentation. It was truly fascinating to learn so many things. Sir, we have noted your points of program management unit. salary increase issue for yoga teachers and equal things. Sir, we will definitely look into this, sir. Now next, I want to call Madam Bandhana Dishadia, Additional Director from Haryana, to share experience and learnings.
Good afternoon. My co-partners on the dais, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Mohan Singh was told to be quick, so I had to be brief now. So, I am representing the state of Haryana. Through this dais, I take this opportunity to present an overview of the National Ayush Mission in the state of Haryana. This platform has indeed given an opportunity to showcase the best practices running in the state, especially efficiency in budget absorption. The ability of the state government vis-a-vis the allocated budget and timely effective expenditure has been enumerated in this PPT. This starts from the effective planning, prioritizing the budget, efficient use of budgeted funds, and the timeline for each activity. As far as the state of Haryana is concerned, we are following the instructions of the Ministry of Finance in toto. Monitoring and evaluation is being done regularly so as to ensure that the budgeted funds are being used effectively and efficiently. Next. You can see the year-wise expenditure status. Since 2014-15, we have been able to spend the allocated budget in an efficient manner. But as far as the year 2022-23 is concerned, we could spend 68%. This is worth mentioning. I have the PPT. I won't wait. I won't wait. It will take time, I think. Yeah. So it is worth mentioning that we could get only the 50% of the grant last year. So the amount spent in percentage is 68% only. I would request the ministry that the grant for this year is granted timely by the ministry. Now, precisely speaking about the best practices of Haryana state under NAM, we have been able to prepare the state annual action plan timely and submission thereof to the ministry. The governing body meetings have been timely held for approval of these SAP. We have timely taken up the sanction of the central share to withdraw matching share from the treasury. With the upgradation in Ayush infrastructure in the state of Haryana, starting from the grassroots level, that is Ayush health and wellness centers to the dispensaries, Panchkarma centers to the colleges, and from Ayush hospitals to upcoming National Institute of Ayurveda. It is a pleasure to share best practices of Haryana state under National Ayush Mission. We have been closely monitoring the fund utilization by prioritizing the activities as approved in SAP and to achieve the condition of department of expenditure, that is the 75%. We are also making efforts and have been successful in data maintenance in electronic automation form. This includes monthly data pertaining to OPD reports of patients in Ayush hospitals and the dispensaries, regular monitoring of funds at the district level and reporting in a time-bound manner, of course, regular audit and timely submission of UCs, effective planning and execution of the upgradation of Ayush health and wellness centers and other programs on the basis of prioritization is the motto of the state of Haryana. Again, coming to the strengthening of the human resource sector, the state of Haryana has been successful in registration of State Ayush Society Haryana under the Societies Registration Act of 1860, and again, timely and first in the country in registration of 22 districts under the Societies Registration Act. State Program Management Unit has been established at the headquarters. This comprises of the Program Manager, Hospital Management Information System Manager, Financial Manager, Accounts Manager, and the data entry operators, and the team is working par excellence. Besides this, the district program units, program management units have also been established in the 18 districts. This includes the district program managers and the data entry operators. We are further strengthening the same in remaining districts as well. We are the first in the country to onboard on public financial management software since August 2021. I'm proudly, I would like to say that the Ayush Health and Wellness Centers have been digitally launched by the Honorable Prime Minister of India from the Haryana state in 2019. This was started in 10 Ayush Health Wellness Centers. The pilot launch of Ayushman Bharat from Haryana was done in 2018, and the first beneficiary under this scheme is also from Haryana. We have been able to conduct training as well as assessment for NABH Ayush entry-level certification for filling up the applications for accreditation online. I am just told that out of the 150 applications, assessment of 102 applications has been done by the ministry, and the remaining will be done shortly. We are the first in the country to upgrade more than 100% Ayush and health wellness centers. It is a pleasure to inform that we were given a target of 400 for 5 years, but we were able to establish 407 in 1 year only. And at present, 359 are functional and rest are coming up. With these few words, I would like to sum up the PPT, and I wish the conclave a grand success. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Madam, for delivering an informative presentations with valuable insights and broadened our understanding of the efficiency in budget absorption. Ma'am, we have noted the procedure regarding simplifying of and other using of technology, etc. Your request for timely release of funds have been noted. In fact, our mission director meeting has already been taken place, and we are shortly releasing the funds to all the states whoever already have submitted their RSAP and whoever already we have examined and found it justified. Now I am going to the next speaker, Dr. R. Sridharan, Director ISM and H, Puducherry. Sir, please enlighten us with your thoughts.
Good evening, dear one and all. Respected dignitaries of the dais, other participants, and Joint Secretary of Ministry of Ayush, and other officials of Ayush, and my friends. Just I don't want to take more time. Just I want a simple presentation about our Puducherry state budgets of last year, 2022-23. Last year, the fund allocation of resource pool, that is 23 crores 360 lakhs. Out of which, that is actually state action plan approved by the ministry, that is 20 crores only. The first installment of central share released by the ministry, that is 3 crores something. Similarly, the central share released on 12/10/2022, that is similarly, the corresponding states are also released on 14/12/2022. maximum, that is 70% expenditure based on our activities, that is field activities, other IEC activities, research activities, the training program, workshops, conferences, etc., purchase of medicines, other activities. Actually, we have spent more money, and moreover, actually, all the activities are monitored by the Finance Secretary, Chief Secretary, Health Secretary, and also there is constructions going on, so that actually it's a PWD Secretary also is monitoring every month only. Apart from that every Monday our Secretary is calling what are the funds are lying, how to spend. That is, this is a monitoring capacity in Puducherry, so that the fund is easily mobilizing. For getting the second installment, we have that is to spend the maximum 70%. The second installment will release on, that is 27/3/2023, and also the central chair and the state chair also transferred to the SNA account. All the accounts are monitored by Department of Expenditure report as per the report, and all the field works are also monitored by our senior officers, both allopathy side and our Ayurveda, Siddha, homeopathy, and naturopathy doctors all visiting the various places to monitor what are the activities going on and everything in all 4 regions. And basically, actually in the PM unit, actually one person is there in accounts officer, and myself is only the monitoring all the activities. There is no additional support by people are there. And moreover, second thing is actually the Ayush wellness centers some funds are lying because actually the funds are not mobilized because lack of manpower of appointment of yoga demonstrators and lab technician and ASHA workers. ASHA workers is not at all cooperating from all of the sites. That if posted by our department person can do well in Pondicherry services. That is actually UT of Puducherry is cooperating for the PMOS cell, and the SNA accounts and other details are in proper way. Then PWD is monitoring the construction of hospitals, other things, and our department is monitoring the other activities. So just I want to share some other slides. This is our outreach activities, and that one that is during the COVID times, arsenic album, and Kapasar Kodiner, Nelevim Kodiner, and then Ayush Kodiner 64 distributed. The second one is actually that is our doctors are posted in COVID duty. And third slide, next slide, that is yoga last year conducted International Yoga Day. Then Ayush Health and Wellness Centers. Next. This is a recently constructed hospital that is ready to open. For the next month, probably it will be ready to open. Almost that is our ministry has the sanctioned the manpower and the salary component also. This is another building is construction at Yanam. That is in the month of July it will be open, ready to open. Probably the function in the month of August. This is a manufacturing unit given to the Maha Ayurveda College, Medical College for manufacturing of Thailand. So this is very useful to the public. So this is a scenario in Puducherry. Okay, sir.
Thank you, sir, for your enlightening presentation and the experience shared by you. The presentation was very informative and gave us detailed insights of the effective practices followed in the state of Puducherry, sir. The practice of strategically planning expenditure to secure the second installment is commendable and reflecting the effective financial planning. Now I will call our Kavita Gotru Madam, our Chief Controller of Accounts, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare and Ministry of Ayush, to share her thoughts and give some suggestions.
A very good afternoon to everybody. It is in fact a challenge to be the last speaker of the session, because most of the issues that were discussed were since morning. Everybody was touching upon certain guidelines or the other, and by and large they have covered everything. So whatever I'm going to say is going to be a brief summary of the issues that were discussed, and I will also highlight it from the perspective of the PFMS. Let me also congratulate the Ministry of Ayush, my colleagues, for organizing this event in the first quarter of the financial year, because we are running into the annual budgetary cycles. So when do we plan, what do we do, that matters a lot. And when we have 4 quarters, the massive task has to be completed within the first 3 quarters. That is how we have to plan. And a meeting or a conclave at this juncture, that is in the first quarter itself, I am sure will be very much useful and will boost up the expenditure in this financial year. As it was highlighted in the morning, NAM started off with the 75 crores budget, and now it's 1,200 crores. And every year I am seeing that we have around somewhere between the last 5 years, 500, 600 or 700, 800. And we've been touching upon barely 60%, 68%, 80% compared to the BE, our budgetary estimates. That means there's a lot of hard work that needs to be done. And since this is a relatively newer activity, a very focused approach will be required. So we have heard the success stories of certain of the UTs, but we have large states, massive states, where the states are almost on a different level when it comes to release of funds. So these are the challenges which at headquarters we always receive, and a proper planning will be very much required at the beginning of the year itself. So that will help us to successfully conclude, to achieve the targets of completing this 1,200 crores the end of the financial year. So I've structured my presentation. I'll quickly go through whatever has already been covered. I'll quickly go through and I'll tell you the overview and the perspective of where do we need to focus upon. So I'll be structuring on the fund flow for the centrally sponsored schemes. There's the single nodal account system, and National Ayush Mission is the centrally sponsored scheme for the Ministry of Ayush. Who are all the stakeholders and their roles and responsibilities? What are the new utilities that are developed under the SNA system, which will be relevant more for this financial year? What are the checks that you need to exercise before you release the funds, both at the headquarters, that is Ministry of Ayush, as well as what grounds need to be done at the state level, at the UT level, and what are the various determinants of budget absorption, and what is the way forward. Next. So as it's already been discussed, Ministry of Finance has come up with a number of guidelines from the year 21 onwards, 21-22 onwards. We have the single nodal account system for the centrally sponsored schemes. We have the central nodal account system for the central sector schemes, and we have the treasury single account system for the autonomous bodies. These are all basically the tools which will bring in some more fiscal discipline, because managing the fiscal deficit has always been a challenge, especially during the post-COVID period. So that is the reason why all these things have been introduced, and this is supposed to be bringing in more discipline, ensure that funds are released just in time, ensure funds are utilized just in time, and also ensure that there is an end-to-end tracking through an IT-enabled system or the platform, that is the PFMS. So that's the idea, and also just to ensure that funds are not lying loose and scattered, that there is no float around. That is also one of the essential features. And the reason why Ministry of Finance has been taking this kind of decision is because after studying the data of the last few years, after seeing where the funds are lying unaccounted for, that is the reason which compelled the Ministry of Finance. So when we say that we need more funds, we also need to ask whether are we utilizing the funds for the purpose for which we are giving. And when we are talking in terms of outlays, we also look into output as well as the outcome. So outcome will be visible and measurable, and output is again a quantifiable thing. So that's how we have to structure our activities. So this has already been discussed, this slide where our Ministry of Ayush, the NAM program division, is releasing the funds, generating the sanctions in the system, releasing the funds, that is the central share, to the state treasury. State treasury and Ministry of Finance are also to play a crucial role, in the sense that they have to transfer this center share as well as the state share to the SNA, the single nodal account, which is opened by the state nodal agency, which is the Ayush state Ayush divisions, within mandatorily within 30 days. Earlier in July 2021, when they've issued these guidelines, the center share has to be transferred to the SNA account by the treasury within 21 days, and then subsequently state share by 40 days. But now it has been made 30 days, and if there is any, if the time limit exceeds, then there is a penalty penalty at the rate of 7% per annum. That is how it's going to be implemented in this financial year. And the state nodal agency will designate the single nodal account and will also open the zero balance subsidiary accounts for its subordinate or down the ladder agencies, and utilization of the funds will be as per the drawing limits. And another new feature that has come up is the interest accrued in the SNA account. Now we are monitoring that also, though it is an old feature as per our general financial rules. Now we have made a provision also to capture what is the interest accrued in the SNA account, and that also needs to be remitted back to the Consolidated Fund of India. And for that purpose, the Bharat Kosh portal has also been integrated with the PFMS portal, and then submission of the UCs from time to time. Next slide. So these are all the stakeholders that I've already discussed. We have the main ministry, the Ministry of Ayush, the program division, we have the state treasury and the finance, state Ayush department, we have the scheduled commercial banks which are facilitating in opening the single nodal account. And other zero balance subsidiary accounts. We have the state PFMS directorates, we have Ministry of Finance, Government of India, and the PFMS headquarters. A clear understanding of the roles and responsibilities and stakeholder engagement is very, very essential, because most of the time whenever ministry is approaching us that we are not able to release funds, we are not able to do this, it is because there has been no correct understanding of what each stakeholder does and where to approach, whom to approach. So ultimately when we try and understand or consult our PFMS headquarters, or our teams are reading and trying to analyze what went wrong, then we get to know on a case-to-case basis what have been the mistakes that have taking place at the state level also. Next slide. Next slide, please. So these are some of the roles and responsibilities. I'll leave the presentation and you can read more in detail. First and foremost is the Ministry of Ayush will be generating the sanction and releasing funds to the states, and they will be monitoring through various reports how they are being utilized by the state governments, also respective states as well as the UTs. This year we have a new feature that has been added up, that is the ministry has to enter the state-wise budgetary allocation data. That is, you freeze what you want to release to each state, and that also has to be entered into the system before you start actually releasing. That's one of the prerequisites. And then of course, as somebody was discussing in the morning, the legacy data, that is the SNA system started from July 21. So whatever was the data that was not correctly entered into the system, what are the opening balances of 1st April 21 and the pre-SNA, that is April to July, and any other discrepancies, they can be rectified by entering this legacy data. The legacy data has to be correct because your subsequent release will depend upon whatever is being reflected in the SNA reports. Whenever there is a deficit, or whenever what we have released along with the state share has not been transferred by the treasury into the single nodal account, and accordingly the reports are not coming correctly, our headquarters team cannot even generate the sanction. So I can tell you that while somebody was mentioning here that we have a PMU here at the headquarters, we have at the state level, we have at the district level, there are some divisions exclusively analyzing this in Ministry of Finance who have who are doing exclusively this work, which scheme, how much funds are going, what is the float around, and accordingly we are getting daily new guidelines or some letters to our secretaries. They are receiving letters that this much float around is moving around and you are not able to monitor that. This kind of letters we are getting from time to time from Ministry of Finance. So we must understand that the pre-SNA system was a completely different ball game altogether, and now with the SNA system each and everything is getting tracked. So that understanding will help us. And also for interest remittance, we also program divisions have to map it SLS wise, since we have only one scheme here, National Ayush Mission, so that has to be monitored, so that we can track from which scheme, and if it is having different components, from which component what is the interest that is accrued and what has been remitted back. That entire system is getting tracked. That is the micro level intervention for end-to-end tracking that is being implemented by the Ministry of Finance. Then we have the state treasury and finance departments. So when I am talking about the stakeholders and their roles, if any state, if any, because of the lack of manpower or no officers, or officers continuously under transfer, they may or may not be knowing, we need to engage all these. We need to engage all the stakeholders also at the state level. So the state treasury has a significant role that the minute we release the funds, within 30 days time limit, they have to transfer the funds along with the state share to the SNA account. That is very important. Sometimes because of delayed responses, delayed transfers, again they cannot generate the sanction to the same state for the same scheme. Our NAM headquarters cannot generate the sanction because so many checks and validations are there in the system, have been initiated in the system last year, and I'm sure most of you will recollect that during the second quarter there was so many validations that to release the funds was a big challenge to us. So transferring the funds, while transferring the funds you have to transfer to the SNA account only. There have been instances when first the state treasuries have transferred to some other account, and from that account it has come to the single nodal account. Even in such cases, system was not allowing generation of sanction. So the tracking is so micro and so minute, so one needs to be sensitive about that. That is one thing, and treasuries have to share the budget, expenditure and release files with the PFMS. Treasury, state treasury is integrated with the PFMS. All the banks are integrated with the PFMS. So the data sharing has to be regular. If the data sharing is not regular, then the reports are not actually incorporating whatever is the expenditure. If the reports are going wrong, then the system will not allow further release of further funds. So it is mostly now the system driven. So as program managers in the state, you need to monitor whatever the releases that have come to you. You need to take up with the state treasury as well as with the finance if the releases have not come. If it has been coming, whether the reports are reflecting it correctly or not. So it is a responsibility from your side also. That will help in prompt release of funds, and further, of course, you can plan the next utilization of the funds. In addition to that, now the central scheme has to be mapped. There has to be a state-linked scheme for every central scheme, and the state budget code has to be mapped with the central budget code. This has been introduced last year. That will enable us for better tracking. Otherwise, the funds are floating here and there. That was one of the intentions. So that is also very important, which the treasury, state treasury has to do in very close contact or connection with the state Ayush departments. So the state Ayush departments must ensure opening of these SLS, opening of these budgetary heads, and they are properly mapped in consultation with the state finance department or the state treasury. They also will be assigning the drawing limits to the implementing agencies and monitoring them. As somebody said, that if one district is not performing properly, you can always have the flexibility to switch over to the other better performing district. As somebody said, if let us say each and every head of account, there may not be a flexibility to move from revenue to capital, but however, within the revenue itself, if there is some kind of a, instead of procurement of X, let's say Y, the procurement, the material has come faster, maybe you can immediately pay for that and then and do not wait for this. So that's how you'll have to manage and monitor. And legacy data entry is what the state departments, the SNA departments have to do, and it will have to be validated and approved by the state treasury as the Ministry of or the state finance department, and then it has to be approved by the headquarters, the NAM headquarters. Then only the legacy data will be complete. So we have down the chain and up the chain lot of agencies who are very much involved. So we need to know the what is the function and what is the origin of each and every function. And of course, refunding the interest also they have to do promptly. Next slide, please. Next slide. Yeah, the banks, we know the banks. Please select those banks which have that robust IT system. No, not this. Previous slide. Previous slide. Previous one. Right. The banks have to be good. So what we have also noticed is that while the banks are coming towards us, that we will provide these services, we are implementing, while we are closely monitoring some of the central sector schemes also, which has a similar system. The branches down below in the districts, they also need to know what these zero balance subsidiary accounts are, what are these. So recently when some of the banks approached us, we told them down the chain, to your entire nook and corner, whoever are your banks and bank branches, they need to be well aware of this single nodal account system or the central nodal account system. It's not like the banks are approaching only us, the heads of the organization, and offering some services. It is like they must ensure that down below their chain, those people are also well trained, because we focus mostly on training our departments and our other state agencies or any other government bodies, but we are not focusing on the on training these banks. So that is also one of the things. And banks also must share their daily reports with the PFMS. If there is some error, if there is no proper sharing of that information of the expenditure, then also we will have a problem in releasing the funds. Either the program division cannot see that the 75% of the funds have been utilized, or there may be certain restrictions or certain checks and validations in the system that will not allow them to generate the sanctions. This is also one of the issue that you need to very closely monitor with your banks. And the PFMS state directorates are there for necessary training for configuring the state-linked scheme and also ensuring or enabling the marking of the scheme as a SNA scheme in consultation with the PFMS headquarters, and both put together are providing all technical assistance both in the states as well as at the headquarters. But however, it's the Ministry of Finance which is actually deciding the policy and also deciding how to give relaxation to which issue or the other on a case-to-case basis. Next. So these, next slide. So these are some of the utilities. Mapping of heads, the central head with the state head was introduced last year. Legacy data is something that is a prerequisite where you have to map all the data the state departments have to do, and it has to be approved by the state finance as well as the program division. This is another prerequisite. Budgetary allocation this year. State-wise budgetary allocations also need to do, and then interest remittance also has been. It also requires an approval from the headquarters that the interest heads need to be mapped. This again the program division has to do. Next. So this is the checks that I've already explained, and I think we've been discussing this since morning. Some of the very important reports, we have SNA 01 report, which is talking about what are the balances, bank balances left. We have the SNA 09 report. If there is a deficit in this particular report, that is what has been transferred, both the center share and what is the due state share, and whether it has been transferred from the state treasury to the SNA account or not. If there is any deficit, then your program division cannot generate a sanction for that particular state in the or even the second installment. They cannot, even though you are showing 75% utilization or whatever you show. If there is a deficit in SNA 09 report, the next sanction cannot be generated. And we have the various other reports for interest remittance. Also, we have this SNA 08. I think that is the for mapping of the heads. 04 and 4A are for interest that is accrued and whether interest has been remitted or not. Like that, we have a series of reports, new reports which are coming up. So my request is that you please monitor your reports, because one has to be now knowledgeable while also parallelly while we are doing the physical activities. The knowledge of these things is also very important. Next slide. In addition to this, what are the key elements and determinants of budget absorption? This also has been enlightened by my other colleagues, the panelists. But however, I would suggest, I will also touch upon this. One is effective leadership, strategic planning, skilled human resources, revenue versus capital funding, and timing of the fund flows. And then we have the key partner coordination. Next. So effective leadership in the morning, the Honorable MOS was also saying that when we are introducing something in the central government, the state governments also harmoniously has to think and give the same priority in terms of not only movement of the funds, but also in terms of implementing that. There has to be a consistency in policy making, decision making, and there has to be a more harmonious approach by the center as well as the states. That will bring success to any scheme that is being implemented. The next is strategic planning and budgeting. When we are planning, we always make it a 3 to 5 year plan. But when we are going by the annual budgetary cycles, the annual implementation plan for the each year has to be very concrete. It has to have its own time schedule. It has to have its own set targets, outputs rather, not outcome. In the initial, it will be an output, and then subsequently you will see the outcomes. So that is how the timetables have to be mapped and done. Implementation, when we talk about implementation during the financial year, that is, we have a span of 12 months, both the financial as well as the physical monitoring and implementation. And if we can have some IT platforms through which we can see on a real-time basis what is the status, and that will be very helpful. We need the skilled manpower. We've already talked about having PMUs both at headquarters as well as the states as well as the districts. Yeah, NHM division has as a full-fledged PMU which monitors all the things, and then they make all this analysis and advanced preparatory work. As our colleagues from other states have said, what is the advanced preparatory work that you need to do? I'll just give an example on the basis of certain audit reports. We have done a lot of audits in many autonomous organizations. What we see is that they buy the machines and equipment, but they are lying idle. They have not been installed. First and foremost, there is a delay in procurements, so they are not coming on time. Even if they come, there is no space available, or even if there is space available, the requisite necessary electrical or civil work to install that equipment is not available or not in readiness. So it is lying there, by which time the warranty period of the machines are done away with. So this is the history of mostly in the health sector. We have seen a lot of problems because of this. If you are doing procurement, if you are doing project related or construction related activities, that preparation itself, the preliminary activities itself need to be planned and done so that everything is in place by the end of the year or by end of your targets. And setting out the timelines and working in a mission mode is something very important for, so far as revenue and capital expenditure is concerned. We know that these salaries, general administrative expenses, they go in an equal pace. Salary, it moves, that expenditure moves in a month-wise manner with an equal pace. Even same thing with a certain general administrative expense. But procurement of drugs machinery, so you have to ensure that your procurement cycle, while you have the skill, while you have the necessary skills for handling the procurement, and you should ensure that these procurement cycles fall well within the, are completed well within the financial year, that is within the 12 months. So suppose if procurement is a continuous ongoing activity, please do budget what you can complete within this year. Need not unnecessarily budget or need not unnecessarily waste the funds or let the funds be wasted for that. And then if it spills over to the next year, then the activity has to be planned over budgeting it or spending it in the next financial year. That careful planning, even same thing with the project cycles, which have a long gestation period, that is utilization of the funds is going to be a bit slow in the category 2 as well as the 3. So that planning and then any unforeseen delays that are taking place because of land issues, any other issues, that planning and preparation, if in case X activity does not take place, if there is any activity or any plan B that we have, that also we need to see. And this timing of fund flow, we all know whatever the quarterly, monthly expenditure plans that we are following at headquarters, we know the ceilings for the last quarter, 33% and 15% for March, and we know the limitations and the restrictions under which we work, and stakeholder engagement is something that is very important. Monitoring and evaluation, use automation, use IT systems, and of course, best practices in peer learning and reviews. These are some of the few things I thought I will share. Thank you very much.
Thank you, madam, for acknowledging you so much, for sharing so much of knowledge. Ma'am, we extend our sincere gratitude to you for your insightful presentation on enhancing the inefficiency in budget absorption in compliance with SNA guidelines under NAM, and detailed insights from a PFMS perspective. Your detailed presentation of the fund flow for centrally sponsored scheme provided a comprehensive understanding of the financial aspects. We have noted your just-in-time concept, your capturing of interest, and specifically the importance of capturing correct legacy data, specific roles and responsibilities for various stakeholders, measurable outputs and outcome concept. We have all noted for effective budgeting and for effective planning and budgeting. Since there is no time at all, we are already late. I am skipping the question answer session, and I would request everybody, if you have any questions, please give us in writing. Our ushers are here. We will try to include these in our valedictory session, and otherwise we will definitely reply to you through email. Now, to conclude this session, I would like to call Dr. Raghu to present mementos to our esteemed guest. Srimati Kavita Gotru, Chief Controller of Accounts, Ministry of Health and Family Affairs and Ministry of Ayush. Dr. Mohan Singh, Director, Jammu and Kashmir. Sri Saket Kumar, Director General, Haryana. Dr. Bandana Dishodia, Additional Director. and Dr. R. Sridharan, Director ISM&H, Puducherry. We all thank you all, sir, ma'am. Thank you very much for joining this session. This is now after the tea break, there will be the next session in this hall only. Thank you. Tea break is only for 15 minutes, please.